to walk that line. Well, we got another outlaw here in the studio with us this morning, and I'm going to make him welcome right now on Classics of Country. Good morning to Mr. Billie Gant.
Hi. Thank you, Tom. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Nick
Looking good.
Giese?
Yep.
All right, I got that right. All right, and Tiger Lil, who is in the studio. That's is that your manager?
Yeah, she manages me.
Okay.
I need management.
All right, that's all I'm going to go to.
Right,
I'm going to leave the rest of it out of there. Well, welcome to WAIF and welcome to Classics of Country, and I want to thank you all for coming in this morning with me.
Oh, man, it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome. It is my pleasure. I got a whole bunch of questions to ask you, and you don't have to answer anything that you don't want to.
Am I under oath?
No, because I don't do those. I don't do that at all. Anyway, Nick, you just joined Billie, or have you been with Billie for a while, or what's the scenario with you?
I've ran into him off and on for the past few years, and then probably about the past year or so, I sort of joined him to help him with some of his originals, and play a few licks over him while he's doing his thing, doing his songs, and sort of helping him out.
Yeah, when I first saw Nick, I recognized his talent. You know, he's a young man. Nick's still in his 20s.
Right.
And I recognized his talent, and I said, I want to spend some time with this fella here because he's a real player. He gets better every day, you know, and he had it together pretty good when I first saw him.
And naturally, you sing?
I sing sometimes.
Sometime. Okay, don't we all?
I've been accused of it myself.
I know you have. Anyway, Billie, I got some questions for you, my man, and we'll start off with this one. You born and raised in Cincinnati?
Yeah, I was born here at the Good Samaritan Hospital.
Okay.
20-some-odd years ago.
20-some-odd years ago. Yeah, well, you and me both. Considering we're both the same age.
Yeah.
How'd you get started playing music in the Queen City?
I have my first thoughts of life are about music. My first conscious thoughts are it's just where I was, where I belong. So I was singing at a very, very early age, doing little shows around Cincinnati and so forth. One of the first shows I ever did, at probably about 6 years old, was with the great Lloyd Price, the great
personality.
And Primrose Lane.
Yeah.
And
Want to Get Married, and some of those cool songs.
And so I was tuned in very early on. And always was doing. I was a kid that would stand up in class and sing. Be riding the bus with my mom, and all of a sudden stand up and start singing. And they had to keep an eye on me pretty good because I just wasn't. I just sort of felt this is what I'm supposed to do, and then, in high school came, I did the variety show thing, and was got involved in sports somewhat. Football, baseball, basketball, you name it, I was playing it, and studied judo for a short time, and boxed, and just physical stuff. I grew up on my dad's concrete crew.
Okay.
So I was used to being physical, and I enjoyed it. And I always wanted to, all those years I really didn't sing. The 60s came and I just couldn't see myself doing that. It wasn't country enough for me, and finally I said, I'm going to quit the concrete crew and so forth. It's not for me. I've got to find out some things about myself.
Well, yeah, because when you started out at 6 singing with Lloyd Price, I mean, Lloyd wasn't country. I mean, he was R&B and top 40 rock and roll, back then. So when did you actually come into your own as a country artist?
At about 23 or 24,
okay,
I ran into a fella. I had no experience. I had practiced all those years. I thought, I'm really not good enough yet to go out there, and was a little bit timid and shy. And I ran into a guy one night. I'd come home from the hospital with my dad. I been to see my mom, and she was in the hospital, and my dad and I were there. He said, "Why don't you stop by with me over in Oakley, Ohio, and get a beer?" I said, "Okay." So we went over there and went into a little place. I think it might have been called the Squirrel Cage or the Vern Cafe, something like that. There was a fella in there named Mac Chain. And all the older guitar players around here know Mac. Mac's doing a solo. And I met Mac, and my dad said, "Well, my son likes to sing." And Mac said, "You want to sing a couple?" So forth. I said, "Sure, man." And I got up and did 3 songs. They're probably from the 50s or something,
Right.
What do you know? I said, "Well, let's do this or that." And
just find a key to sing it in.
yeah, I didn't know anything about keys.
Yeah, I didn't either. Except the ones I got in my pocket to start the car and get in the house.
Yeah. So Max says, "Give me your number." And I said, "Well, sure, man." I gave him the number. And about a week later, he called me and said, "You want to be in a band?" And I said, "Well, sure," because this is a professional guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, wow, this is great. And he said, "Okay, we'll have a rehearsal." I said, "I know a bass player." And I went up to his house, and I'm sitting there by the fireplace. It was doorbell rings. Max says, "That's probably him." Get it. I open up the door, and there's a fella standing there named Boxy.
Boxy Folger.
Yeah, Boxy Folger.
Yeah.
And
God love him.
Neat as a pin he was.
Yeah.
And standing there with his case, we came in, met, played a little bit. Boxy knew a drummer, and got Bobby Thomas was the drummer, and we rehearsed a few times, and off we went. And Boxy and I were together for the next 7 or 8 years, living in cars, living on the street, living whoever would have us as I gained my experience, and we moved on, and we were out every night. The music around here, you could find it 7 nights a week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And I was hot on jam sessions in those days because I didn't know the fellas, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I had to learn.
No, we all learn.
Sure.
We all learn. I mean, that's just the way the business is. You learn it,
And I was really way behind the other fellas. I was running into fellas like J.R. Spivey and
Junior Spivey.
Junior and his brother, and just so many.
Well, you ran into Willie Begley.
Yeah, I ran into Willie. We were in Price Hill.
Yeah, Chatterbox.
At a jam session. Yeah.
Yeah. And, played there in the 1970s.
And Willie and I hit it off pretty good.
Yeah.
And
he was quite a character.
Yeah, I imagine so.
Well, he was. I mean, he was a character.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, and Benny's his brother, I believe. Isn't that right?
Another brother named Ernie, and another brother named John Wayne. And
John Wayne, is that a classic name or what?
Wayne Begley. And so in the meantime, I'd been in Newport. I'd got a job with Wendell McKenzie. He was at the Fuzz Club.
Oh my goodness, I remember that place so well. Chief of Police owned that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in his name for reasons.
Right. That's why they called it the Fuzz Club.
That's right.
Bill was his name, and Millie was his wife.
Yep. Yep.
And I would go down. Here's the deal. Wendell gave me a job in his band, working 5 nights a week.
Okay.
For $5 a night, and I rented the walk-in closet upstairs over the Fuzz Club from Bill Henley and Millie Henley, and I lived in there for a while, and I was happy as I could be because I could go downstairs at the Fuzz Club in the afternoon and practice drums, So I was eating, sleeping, and breathing music, and so Wendell, and I played a jam session, and Wendell finally hired me for $10 a night as a drummer.
Okay, hang on just 1 second. It's 11 o'clock, and you're listening to WAIF Cincinnati.
And that's when Willie saw that. He said, well, singing drummer. He says, I can always use a singing drummer. So I said, well, I'll play drums, Willie, but I want to learn how to be a front man and sing. That's what I want to do. But I understand what's shaking. So Boxy, Willie, and I took off as a trio, and we worked at the Apple. This back in '75, behind Glen Canyon, a mighty fine singer and band leader. And Willie and I and Boxy were out working the other 5 nights a week anywhere we could, Ohio and Kentucky, and Tuesday night here, Wednesday night there, Thursday night here. And we were going pretty strong. And we got to the Woodland Inn. Willie booked the Woodland Inn, and on Route 25
down in Walton.
In Walton, owned by Glenn Bulldog Wright.
Yeah, I played there, and I played down at Club 25, right down the road from it. And I know there's another gentleman that who is still with us today that was another great country artist back in that era, was Gene Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Gene's still around. That's where I got my start in country music, was through him and his wife, because my former wife is a cosmetologist, and his wife was a cosmetologist, and my wife, when we got married, went to work for her.
Yeah, Gene came into Woodland Inn after we left. I think we were there for 18 months at the Woodland Inn as Willie and the Poor Boys, featuring Billie Gant, and that's the way it was. And but we worked constantly, I hear folks talking about, we got to do, 15 shows this month, and so forth. There's a lot of packing it in. I think, man.
Well, those were great venues back then. I mean, don't you agree? Yeah. I mean, the clubs back then were just exactly that. They were real country nightclubs. They're not this formatted stuff that we have today. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, there's still some places, and of course, I'm not playing live like you guys are now. I mean, I would still love to go out and do it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's a whole different world today than it was, and I think you agree with me, back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s.
Yeah, musicians, they play where they can play.
Right.
And if you can find a real nightclub with a real stage and curtains and a professional owner and service, and they bring in professional talent, that's great. But in the meantime, you're down in the joints where you can play, and heck, Willie and Tom Hurricane Hammond joined us down at the Woodland Inn shortly after we got there, and it was Willie and the Poor Boys with Tom, Willie, Boxy, and I, and we went. I one night in 1976. I did 110 nights in a row. Tom did 100. I did 111 nights in a row. Of course, it was fried. And Tom Hurricane Hammond, he did 110. We were in competition. Boxy and Willie, they lasted about 80 to 90 nights in a row, and but that's what it was. That's what it was all about. Playing.
Yeah, you were. Were you considered house bands? Because most of the time back then, I mean, you know, that's what you got. If you got lucky and you got a gig, you were the house band.
Yeah, a sit-down gig.
Yeah. That's right. And I remember them well.
I'll tell you what, to get a sit-down gig in those days, you had to be real current on your top 40.
Right.
And the fellas, you know, if you want to work a lot as a band, probably the best way to work is to learn that top 40 stuff and get out there, because you know the folks coming in, they want to hear the current stuff. It's different when you're doing classic stuff and originals, but you know the fellas out there that are working around town, you know, hard-working bands, you know, they are hard-working bands because somebody in that band has to come in with new material every week.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
For the audience.
Now today, you're doing a lot of writing.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You don't have to call me sir.
All right. All right, buddy.
Just call me Tom.
All right.
I've been called a lot of things. Trust me. But I'd like for you, if you gentlemen would be so kind, I'd like to have you do a song for us and kind of tell me what you want to do and tell the audience out there what you want to do, and if you wrote it, and I'm sure you probably did.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Okay. Let's start off with something up-tempo, Nick. Nick Giese on that other guitar. He'll be the one that you'll be able to tell which one's Nick, which one's me. This song is called the Ballad of Ruben Dixon. Hold on, let me crack my knuckles. Here we go. Well, it was in the midnight hour of July 17. I was on my way to Birmingham. I just turned 23. I thought I'd stop in Knoxville to see what I could see. I pulled into a tavern, a little place called Willie D's. The jukebox was playing, the land on my mind. Tonight till I shot Ruben Dixon down. I just left Harlan County, where my dear old dad was born. I've been to see my grandpa up on the family farm. They say he was a hero back in 1944 when he got shot in Germany fighting in the war. But there weren't no rules of combat in that Knoxville house and found. Tonight till I shot Ruben Dixon down. I was minding my own business when the barmaid said beware. I guess you didn't know it, man, but that's Ruben Dixon's chair. And that woman you've been flirting with, that's Ruben Dixon's girl. And I hate to have to say that you're in Ruben Dixon's world. Time is coming and gone now, but I remember well the night that I shot Ruben Dixon down. She said, Ruben, he's a killer, the most dangerous man in town. His eyes is cold and empty, you'll know him by his growl. His pleasure is Jack Daniels, his poison is cocaine. And Ruben, he will hurt you, man, if you get in his way. Well, it was going on 1:30 before I looked around tonight till I shot Ruben Dixon down. Over by the window, I saw two men shooting pool. I didn't think much of it till the big one said, hey, fool, I sleep by your license plate, you're from Alabama. Well, my name's Ruben Dixon, boy, and up here I'm the man. I could have took my tail and run, but I was way too proud tonight till I shot Ruben Dixon down. Now, I'd never been to Knoxville, much less Willie D's, and I knew I wasn't the only man in that joint packing heat, and I could have gone on to Birmingham, 'cause that's where I called home. I knew I was outnumbered, I knew I was alone, I knew I was in trouble, so I ordered up around tonight that I shot Ruben Dixon down. Oh, Billy Son.
Absolutely phenomenal. Great job, gentlemen. Great job, man.
Thank you.
Billie Gant, Nick Giese in the studio with us this morning. Proud to have you gentlemen with me. Thanks for coming in. You want to do another one, Billy, or you want to take a break and...
let's try another one.
Yeah, let's try another one. You know how singers are.
Oh, Nick, let's try this one, pal. Let me see.
What's the name of it?
I call this one Kentucky Wildcat.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you were that too.
I'll take a little slug of water here.
You're listening to Classics at Country. It's 11 minutes after 11 o'clock on a Monday morning.
I met a little gal one night in a Kentucky bar. A real Kentucky Wildcat with a souped-up Chevy car. And I showed her just how good I was at playing my guitar. And showed her lots of personality. She told me I belonged down there in Nashville, Tennessee. And she said she'd take me down there if I'd buy the gasoline. But she told me she was ready for a change of scenery. And we left Jackson later on that night. She told me I was going to be a big star down in Nashville, Tennessee. Her eyes were blue, her legs were long, her temperament was sweet. I unpacked my guitar and put the case in her back seat. The moon was high, the stars was right when she sang Satin Sheets. I knew I'd found the woman of my dreams. And she told me I was going to be a big star down in Nashville, Tennessee. From Hazard down to Harlan, we took all them old back roads. She seemed to know her way around, and it was touch and go. And when we hit Tazewell, Tennessee, the only thing I know, the light of love was shining in her eyes. On the way to Nashville in that souped-up Chevrolet, that Wildcat from Kentucky came and stole my heart away. And by the time we got to Music City, USA, I knew that all her love belonged to me. Oh, Nick, you're right. Kentucky bar, a real Kentucky Wildcat with a souped-up Chevy car. I showed her just how good I was at playing my guitar, and she broke my heart in Nashville, Tennessee.
All right, that's Billie Gant, and what's that title again there, Billy?
Kentucky Wildcat.
Kentucky Wildcat. All right, well, good morning to you, everybody. Welcome into Classics of Country on WAIF 88.3 in Cincinnati. I'm going to ask Billy and Nick if they'll do one more for me right now.
Sure.
And then we'll get back to interviewing you a little bit here on the show today, all right?
All righty.
What you going to do for them?
This tune is called House of Cards. I know a lot of songs have that title. It don't bother me a bit.
That was a real classic country song, Deck of Cards. Remember that?
Yeah.
I got a question I'm going to ask you real quick. You can kind of think on it a little bit. I asked Dallas the same question, but he said he had so many. How many songs you got in your repertoire?
Of my own, or
well, okay, your own. How many?
Oh gosh, I could probably. The songs I would present to an audience, probably about, at this point in time, that I could stand behind confidently and do about 75
Wow.
of my own.
That's pretty good.
But I've probably written 500 or 600 songs in order to find that many.
Right.
But in the course...
And you've written some stuff for Dallas as well, I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And any other prominent country stars, or are you just putting your music out there and kind of seeing who looks at it?
I'm just writing right now. I want to. I'm chasing this. I'm challenging myself and chasing my skill level and trying to push it higher. You know, it's just tunnel vision. But you know, in the course of my lifetime, I've been memorizing songs, anything I hear, since 5 or 6 years old. So I figured up one time that I have probably memorized about 10,000 songs, and I would imagine that if I had to, I could probably recall about 5,000 songs right now if I had to. All different kinds of songs.
Right.
A song is a song to me. You know, singer sings.
Well, that's very true, and actually, that's one of the next questions I was going to ask you is, what do you feel is the actual job of a singer in a band? Or solo, either way.
Several different ways to approach and answer that question. The singer sells the song. The musicians, you play, and the singer sells the song.
Right. But without the musicians, the singer is just that. He's a singer.
Right. He's
I mean, the guys that back up any entertainer in the business are the people that make you, me, and everybody else look good.
Oh yeah, it's a group effort. It's a team up there.
That's a team. Exactly correct.
Everyone has their job on a bandstand. No job is more important than the other. You take any one of them away, and you're screwed. They all have to work together. It's a team. It's a crew. It's us against the world that night. You know, and that's why you always play with the very, very best you can play with, because
that's right.
They know how to lay it down.
And the energy always flows back and forth. The audience comes from you out to them, and from them back to you.
Oh yeah, they got their eye on you out there, you know, and you know, you're judged every night.
That's right. That's exactly correct.
And you're only as good as your last show.
Yeah.
You know.
Or sometimes your last song. That last song may have made or broke you for the night. You know what I'm saying?
The singer sells the song, but the singer interprets lyrics, and if you got a moment, I'll go expand that a little bit to what I think about that. But the singer interprets the lyrics. You just don't memorize these things. You live them. I live a song as I'm learning it or writing it.
Right.
And because I know that I'm going to be standing in front of people trying to have them. I was talking to Bobby Mackey in Dallas. More over at Bobby's one night. We're all singers, vocalists, and
right.
And we stand in front of an audience and deliver a song to them. And when I walk on stage, you know, I really try not to take much of my own emotion with me, because I know it's not about my emotions. It's about the folks in the audience, and if I can get them to individually get in touch with their emotions through the interpretation of the lyrics, then now we're talking, you know. Right, now we're really communicating. Silently, there's a whole different thing. You know, I'm singing there listening, but something's going on inside of both of us at that moment when you're singing that song to an audience, and everyone has different emotions going. No two people have the same thing going on. So, each individual is painting a different picture. Each one. It's not a collective mob out there. It's individuals, and you're interpreting these lyrics vocally and trying to reach into them and get them to touch their emotions. And that's why I love country music, and that's why I didn't sing.
Well, that's exactly why I wanted to do a show like I'm doing, because classic country music, the format is gone. It's not on any commercial radio stations. They're not playing any of these people,
Right.
And there's some great local talent.
Always Cincinnati's loaded.
It's loaded with it. It's always been loaded with them. And there's a lot of other great, Midwest and East and West cities that have a lot of great talent in there.
And every little city that you go to, there's someone just as good as you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or better.
Yeah. It's just the nature of the beast.
When you come through.
It's the nature of the beast. But, for yourself, back in, let's say let me just ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
When did you put the Vigilante band together?
The Vigilantes came together in 1978, late 78.
Okay. And you guys, I know, played because, was it not Landon Williams and the Hard Times that played right down the street at the Alamo when you guys were up at San Antonio Rose?
Well, that was a few years later. Landon, when I did get to the San Antonio Rose, Landon was up at the Alamo.
Yeah.
And
because we played there 2 weeks at the Alamo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were right up the street at San Antonio Rose.
Right, yeah.
And I knew where the crowd was. The crowd was up to see you.
Well, here's what had happened. Between 1977 and 1981, we played wherever we could. We were, I was out there hustling gigs, I had, I was used to working 6-7 nights a week.
Right.
And that's what we did. So we was here and there and here and there and working all the time. We'd start out in little bitty places. It didn't matter to me. I don't care.
Right.
I want to play. And we played a lot of little honky tonks and joints, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, Indiana, and a lot of biker places back in those days. I was doing a lot of rowdy stuff, real rowdy stuff, and people were following us. By the time we got to the Rose, any night we played here in Cincinnati area, we could put 300 to 600 people in a nightclub.
Oh yeah, gospel from me. I mean, I know. I mean, you guys had probably, if not the top band, one of the top 2 or 3 bands in the whole greater Cincinnati area back then with the Vigilantes. Because you had a young lady that played lead guitar for you for a while, did you not?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and she was one bad guitar player. And that's bad in a good term, not bad in a bad.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a great show. I can remember being over at Bobby's. I can remember being up San Antonio Rose with our guys and playing up against Chuck Foster and Cheyenne, and I know you knew them guys,
Great.
And
Great
playing on the Battle of the Bands back in that era over at the Mom's Opry over in Newport, Kentucky, and the Fuzz Club.
Take on all comers.
Yeah.
Let's get it on.
And you're still doing that. I mean, and you're doing it because that's what you love to do. As a songwriter. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Let's play. The game is played on the field. It's not played in cyberspace or across the table. You get out there on that stage and there's where the game's really played.
Did you get to record in Cincinnati? In any of the studios here?
I did a little recording. I recorded with Junior Bennett up there in Lockland at Artists Studio.
Okay.
I recorded over at Sagegrass Records over in Independent. Dennis Hensley's place over there.
Yeah, I remember Dennis.
With Rusty York. And,
oh, yeah.
And I recorded Shelby Singleton's Sun Studio in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And, if there's a studio, let me in. I love the studio, I love to be in there with musicians creating, breaking up songs and putting them back together. And, hey, let's try this one. Let's try it this way. Hey, let's, instead of 4/4, let's do it 2/4 all the way. Let's rock it a little bit. Let's do it. Let's do this one. And, most songs can be done several different ways.
Right.
More ways than one to skin a cat. And whatever one sounds the best after we get through, and trying to interpret this and feel it and breathe life into it. It's like breathing life into Frankenstein. It's alive. It's alive. There's the one. That's the one we like.
Right. How long have you been involved with the outlaw country music scene? I mean, outlaw country, as most all of us that are, performers and that. I mean, that started with Waylon and Willie and David Allen Coe, Johnny Paycheck, Tom Paul and the Glazer brothers, all those guys. When they went out of the suits and ties and suits, and went into long hair and bandanas and blue jeans and vests and that. But, I mean, were you doing that back? That was in the 70s.
Well, that was pretty much my standard attire, 60s and 70s,
Right. So you were one of the founding people locally of the outlaw country venue, right?
Oh, I would say so, yeah. When I came to town, everybody was pretty dressed up, looking pretty snappy. And I remember talking to Junior Spivey a few years now, and he was talking about the first time he saw me that I walked up to the bandstand, and he said I looked like a gypsy with long black hair and a pierced ear, and he had never seen me before, and I just looked at him and said, I gotta sing, and walked up on the bandstand. I had sat there all night waiting to sing, and of course nobody knew me, and here's what folks don't know, that back in those days, before that big album hit for Waylon and Willie and Tom Paul and
the Outlaws.
That album, there were outlaws. It wasn't an organized thing, they were just, musicians around who were the top-notch musicians that really couldn't play in a commercial band because of their skill level and their artistic makeup. And those were the guys I was hanging with.
Right.
And those were the guys who became vigilantes. The guys that were outcasts. I wanted guys that played. I didn't like the way that you had to do 40 on, 20 off, or whatever. Let's get up there and play as long as we want to, and lay down the good stuff. You're aggressive. You want to play. You want to break the rules. So and so's doing it this way. I don't care how he's doing it. This is the way we do it.
Right.
Who died and made who the mayor?
That's a good term.
Let's do it the way we want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you lived it. I mean, you lived the image of outlaw country. You're still living that image of outlaw country, in your writing and in the way you're performing again today, And I want to get into that a little bit if I can in just a minute, Billy, but I got to take a break here to do some promos and PSAs, and then we'll get right back to you guys and get you a couple more songs in here as well, all right? My guest this morning on Classics of Country is Billie Gant, along with Nick Giese, and I'm Tom Winkler. I'll be with you till 12 o'clock today, and then Jerry Stewart comes in to do his program, great program, Life Transitions, from 12 until 1 o'clock. What do WAIF and H.G. Wells have in common? The time machine, of course. Tune in every Wednesday from 8 to 10 p.m. when your hosts bring back those golden days of R&B. Join the Prince of Harmony and hear the biggest hits and obscure songs that have that great group harmony. Take a trip back to our musical past on the time machine every Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock right here on WAIF 88.3 in Cincinnati. Suicide is the 11th most frequent cause of death in the United States. Someone dies from suicide every 16 minutes. Suicide ideals and attempts to harm oneself are the result of problems that many of them cannot see to be fixed. Seek professional help. Call toll-free the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. The lines are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can also visit their website at www.suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Currently, landowners may donate their agricultural easements to the Ohio Department of Agriculture and receive federal tax benefits. For more information, you can call 614-466-2732 or visit their website at www.ohioagriculture.gov. It's 11:31. Going to be a great day in the tri-state today. Going to be up there in the mid-80s today. Going to get up into the upper 80s by the weekend. And once again, hope everybody had a great weekend out there. In the studio with me this morning, once again, ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure, Mr. Billie Gant. And Nick Giese is with us, and Billy's manager, Tiger Lil, is with us this morning as well. And thanks for joining us. Would you do a song for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But to finish off the last conversation, folks talk about there's a point where a certain album came out where that changed things. When that album, the Waylon and Willie, etc., came out, the Outlaw album came out, there were no outlaws. That tag came later, outlaw country music and all that. You had Waylon and Willie down there, and you learned some Waylon, you learned some Willie. And, all of a sudden, David Allan Coe showed up, and that's when the outlaw tag came, because Coe put the outlaw in it, and it wasn't for everyone, but since I was already there, I just and I loved the music, and it was right down my alley. And these guys started influencing folks with what they were doing, and eventually it became what is now called outlaw country music. But I must say, before I do this song, when I started writing the song that Dallas finished that is called Outlaw Country, I went back to that period and really started writing that song about myself, because it wasn't called that then. There weren't you didn't walk into a club and say, "Oh, there's an outlaw." That tag came later as the movement grew. And people started to say, "Yeah, let's write our own stuff. Let's break some more rules."
All right. Do a song for us, my man.
Okay. Well, let me have a big slug of water here. This is a brand new song. There's so much talk about outlaws, so that's sort of on my mind.
Well, let me ask you this real quick while you're taking a drink there before you guys sing and play for us. Do you consider some of the Southern rock bands, or any of the Southern rock bands, to be in the outlaw movement?
Oh, I guess so, yeah. I guess so.
I mean, if you take like Skinner and Marshall Tucker and Charlie Daniels.
Yeah, I don't put that whole classification thing. You are what you are, and you do what you do. And if somebody wants to call you a name, let them call you that name. What can you do about it,
Right.
it's just a tag. It doesn't really, it's not a badge you wear.
No, I understand that. I mean, do you think that outlaw country is making a big comeback, or do you think it's kind of moving up the slope little by little, or what's your opinion on outlaw country as far as today?
Oh, it ain't going away. It never did. There's always going to be young fellas with guitars and drums and basses and pianos that say, let's write a song, let's do it. And you can call it whatever you want to call it.
Right. Nick, how do you feel about it? Because you're playing with Billy and you're doing outlaw country with him, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, so that's a format that you genuinely are interested in, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was in a lot of rock music when I started younger, and I started getting into bluegrass music. And then before you know it, I found this guy, Hank Williams III.
Oh, yeah.
And I just fell in love with him. And then, I was into a lot of the old, like, Bill Monroe, like, bluegrass songs, Jimmy Martin. And he's sort of like an outlaw, too. He's like like a bluegrass outlaw. And then I just, I always loved Willie Nelson. There's something about his songs that always just, I was like, wow, that's great. And
everybody loves Willie. He's an icon. I say it every week on this radio show. Willie Nelson is an icon.
There's a few guys there that they're the best of their generation, and every generation has their top producers. Dylan and so forth.
Right. But, Willie, if you look at Willie and what he does, and here he is at 80 years of age, and he's still playing 250 dates plus a year.
All the bases covered, talent, drive, experience, heart, soul, understanding. He's a wonderful man to have given the world what he has given the world.
He's a tremendous writer. He's a tremendous artist.
Yeah.
Look at Merle Haggard is another one. They're getting less and less and less because they're getting older. Yeah. And as we get older, the thing is, eventually, you have to face a reality. Do I keep doing this or do I not? But when you love something, when you actually love something like you love it, and of course you're young, and I'm the same as Billy here, but we love what we did and what you do.
It's who we are.
Yeah.
How do you? So I'm going to now do this. It's who you are. Once you pass a certain point in your mind and in your soul, and then you look at the clock and time, and you look at the world, and you say, "This is who I am, for better or worse. This is what I do."
Right.
And I am what I am, and let's get it on.
Right. If you had to pick an artist other than your buddy Billie Gant here, Nick, I'm putting you on the spot. Who would you pick as an artist that you really appreciate and that you are into?
Just to mention just a few names. There's just so many of them I could go into. I mentioned earlier Willie Nelson, Hank Williams III. He really is one of the people that got me wanting to do some of this kind of music.
Right.
Those guys, Waylon Jennings.
Yeah.
Some of those folks, definitely Jimmy Martin and Bill Monroe, Earl Scruggs. I do a little banjo playing sometimes too.
Do you really? 4 or 5 string?
5 string.
5 string banjo. Okay.
Yeah,
Nick loves bluegrass.
I really love doing that kind of stuff. I love that really quick chicken picking kind of guitar playing, and just like Tony Rice is a guitar player I love to listen to. He's just all those guys just. I think I was born in the wrong time.
You weren't born in the wrong time. You're doing what you love, Do you like Billy Joe Shaver?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's another one of the guys that's been around for ever and ever,
There's a reason for that.
Well, why don't you tell me what that is, Billy?
Talent.
Yeah, you hit it. You hit it right on the head. Please do us another song, gentlemen.
All right, this is a new song. Let's knock this one out, Nick. train down in Georgia that anyone can ride, as long as you can make the jump and find a place to hide. With one hand on my guitar, I hopped the westbound train, and we flew on into Texas like Frank and Jesse James. I roared out of that boxcar, honey, with a scowl across my face. I hit those Texas honky-tonks and I put them all to shame. From San Antonio to parts unknown, I unleashed my rage, and they said that boy's an outlaw like Frank and Jesse James. With a poison pen, and I spit out poison juice. And when I sang the Outlaw Blues, you know all hell's broke loose. I'm always on the outside, going against the grain, and my heroes are all outlaws like Frank and Jesse James. One more time.
That's a great song.
I gave up on that song twice, and I kept coming back to it, saying, finish it the best you can. Sometimes it takes a little longer than for all the ideas to come together, and you find the character and put him in the right place at the right time, doing what he naturally should do. Because I write about characters and try and get in other people's shoes and look out through their eyes.
Well, and you're doing a great job of it, Billy. I'm being honest with you. I did it for 10 years, and I've been a disc jockey for 30. So I'm still playing music. Still love it. And that it's something that's in your blood.
It's what you do.
Yeah, my daughter and everybody that knows me, knows that I love music. And
if we can play a little bit, no matter what your skill level, it doesn't make any difference.
I never learned to play guitar. I'm left-handed, so I would be like Jimi Hendrix, playing left-handed guitar upside down. You know what I'm saying?
I'm working on it.
Well, I think you do a great job. You and Nick work very, very well together. I mean, I can just see that camaraderie between the two of you. You know, musicians, as we all know, because we've all played, I mean, they can be egotistical to heck wouldn't have it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they love egos, you know, and that's just standard with so many musicians and entertainers.
Nick and I are pals.
Oh, I can see that. I mean, I can genuinely see that, you know, and that's what makes what you do and how you sound successful. Hold on a second here. All right, Jerry Stewart just walked into the studios. He's coming on at 12 o'clock for you here today on WAIF. We got about 15 minutes left with Billy and Nick. Can I get you to doing one more song for us today, my man?
Just one more today?
Well, we can get in two if you want.
All right, we can get in two. Because we haven't... The backbone of country music is the sad song. That's the hardest thing in the world to write, because you have to really dig deep, not only within your heart and soul, you know, but here's my philosophy about songwriting. There's a common thread that runs throughout mankind. And if I stick to that common thread, I can touch more people. I can approach writing a song differently, because there's certain things that everyone's heart gets broken. Everyone is deceived. Everyone is lied to. Everyone falls somewhere. Everybody's rear ends up for grabs in life. You're here today, you're gone tomorrow. You're healthy and wonderful today. 2 weeks later, you get some bad news.
Right.
18 months old, or 85.
Right.
The rich man, the poor man, the smart man, and the man who isn't so bright. They all end up in the same place. So I try to write for that common thread.
Right. What you got for us?
This is a sad, the tearjerker. I love this song. It's called "Losing." You know, it's like Charlie Sheen and his winning.
Yeah, you gotta love Charlie Sheen, man. You know.
There's a whole lot more of us out there, Chuck.
That's right. 11:48. You're listening to Classics of Country on WAIF 88.3 in Cincinnati. Here's Billie Gant.
Losing. It all seems to be about losing. And the more you lose, the more you realize all things seem to be so temporary. When losing is the story of your life, together we made a promise forever. Knowing life is full of changes and surprise. But never is now and forever. Unless you come back home and change your mind. someone breaks your heart and says goodbye. Crying seems to be so necessary to empty out the pain you feel inside.
Great song there, Billy.
Thank you.
Great song.
Thank you.
You do some great stuff, man. There's just no doubt about it, you know. I think your influences will continue to be felt in the entire music business, not only around locally here in the Cincinnati area, but I look for you to kind of branch out some as well, because I think a lot of people will take interest in as to what you're writing and what you're trying to put across here in music today.
Well, thank you very much.
And I never wrote. I mean, cover band, you know, but I mean, so many of us are that, you know, but I mean, I think it's a talent to be able to write music. You know, I have a hard time writing my name, much less a song. You know?
I started writing, I think I was about 8 or 9 or 10 years old. So it was very hard because you have to bring the poetry, yeah, and the rhyming part and
right.
the it's writing, and you just stumble along for years and years and years, writing bad songs, and
right.
And we all do, and then you start to get it a little bit, and you start to understand, and your songs get better, and then you start producing and understanding what not to do and what to write about and what's foolishness and what's good stuff.
I'd like to get you with one more song if you could. Keep it to about 3 minutes if you can do that.
Here we go. Man.
And then we'll get ready and sign off here.
Ready?
Billie Gant, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom, I'm going to use you in this song. I hope you don't mind. It was my friend Tommy Winkler really opened up my eyes about the way that I've been living, you know, and them lady friends of mine. So I quit doing all them things me and my buddies think is fun. I quit smoking marijuana. I quit carrying my gun. He said, keep on going, man, till you see the light. I said, hey, I think I got my halo too tight. Now I don't talk about nobody the way I used to do. I quit lying all the time, started trying to tell the truth. I quit hanging in them Jew joints, started saving money too. I quit cussing like a sailor, quit acting like a fool. Wrong is wrong, right is right, and I think I got my halo too tight. I'll stay home all the time, I'll never go anywhere. But now I think I got my halo too tight, and it's messing up my hair. Yeah, I think I got my halo too tight. I think I got my halo too tight. and it's messing up my hair. Oh, I think I got my halo too tight. I think I got my halo too tight. Just when I thought I'd seen the light, I think I got my halo too tight. Big Mama don't know what she's missing tonight, because I think I got my halo too tight. Yeah, Big Mama don't know what she's missing tonight, because I think I got my halo too tight. Tom, I'd like to thank you for letting us in here today. On behalf of Nick Giese and Billie Gant, thank you very much. Hopefully we'll come back and play you some more songs.
You got an open invitation, man. Anytime you guys want to come up, give me a shout, or whatever you want to do, and I'll be glad to have you come back on the show with me.
You know where to find me.
I know where to find you. One of these nights I'm going to show up out there and sing with you.
All right, come on.
Well, again, want to thank the one and only Mr. Billie Gant, Nick Giese, and Tiger Lil for coming in today on Classics of Country. Coming up on 12 o'clock with Jerry Stewart here in about a minute and a half. But I am going to ask you one more quick question, if I can.
Okay.
As far as what you guys do in playing music and that and going out, how do you look at country music today? And I'm talking current, what I call pop country.
I haven't listened to radio in 30 years.
And answered that question. Well, you got to listen to me. I'm not playing that pop country.
What I'm saying, is it started sounding wrong to me most of the time about 30 years ago. It was starting to go in a direction that I couldn't go, and I'd already sunk my teeth into what I was doing, so I just stayed with what I was doing and kept on going.
Well, once again, I want to thank Billie Gant, Nick Giese, and Tiger Lil for coming in today. You've been listening to Classics of Country on 88.3 WAIF in Cincinnati. It is coming up on 12 o'clock. Jerry Stewart's in Studio A. I'm going to turn it over to him right now. Have a great day and a great week, everybody. God bless you. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next Monday.